KUSM 740, pretty quiet election day in Oregon, except for the state attorney general's race. A little bit of controversy there. Good morning, Paul Lindman, Scott Lynn with you on the Morning Update. One of the candidates for AG, former U.S. prosecutor here, Dwight Holton, joining us again in the Morning Update studio. And Dwight, I know you blanch when I say this, but even K2 on television is saying, yeah, you took heat earlier in the campaign for taking contributions from out of state. Now you're the one giving it to Ellen Rosenblum for marijuana support group contributions. What's the deal?
I tell you, it's funny. I'm glad to have support from my friends and my family, totaling a couple $1,000, whatever it is. Ellen has taken $200,000 almost from two different marijuana legalization drug trafficking organizations in New York City. It's really different. It's as if she went to these organizations and told them she was going to make enforcement of the laws that regulate them a low priority, and they rewarded her. And that's not what we want. We want an attorney general who's going to fight for working families. You know, my biggest contributor, Paul, the working families of SEIU. My second biggest contributor, the very prosecutors who worked in Ellen's courtroom. Her biggest contributors are two different drug packs out of New York City.
What she did was not illegal. I think most voters in Oregon are kind of in tune with the fact that all candidates get money from a variety of sources. So what's the problem?
I tell you, one of the things that's disappointing about it is the way they hid this. And in fact, we've challenged her to disclose all of her contributions. We've disclosed all of our contributions. We're proud of the people who gave us money. She's refused to do it. We won't know who paid for her campaign until 7 days after the ballots are counted. I don't think that's right. I think voters ought to know who's paying for the campaigns of people who are running for office. They want to know they're going to have somebody who's going to be there to fight for working families, to fight for seniors and vulnerable Oregonians. I'll be doing that job, not worrying about drug packs in New York.
Dwight, I've heard from some of your supporters that they can't figure out why more the focus hasn't been on your resume and the fact that you've been a prosecutor and you've been a manager. Are you disappointed the focus has gone elsewhere these last couple of weeks?
I tell you, when I'm out talking to voters, that's exactly what people are interested in. They're looking for somebody who they know can do this job day one, and that's why I expect to win this thing. You know, when you talk to voters, they're looking for somebody who's held corporate polluters accountable, who's put corporate criminals in jail, and who understands we need to spend more money on public education and less money on prisons and can get that job done. They know that's me. That's why we're going to win this thing.
And we've covered this ground before, but for those who haven't heard and might be still filling out their ballots today, you've not been in Oregon courtrooms before as one of the charges?
Yeah, completely false. You know, I've been a prosecutor here for 8 years, and that was something that Ellen had said earlier, and the Oregonian had criticized her resoundingly for it, called it false. And that's something we can move beyond. I'm not worried about these false attacks and these and the sleazy ads that the folks had run against us, because I think our message got through. I've got the experience, the leadership, and the vision to get this job done.
I don't recall races for attorney general in this state going much beyond legal qualifications in the past. Is this an unusual campaign for AG?
Well, I think it's a campaign that's really brings out two very different visions for this job. Ellen has said she thinks this is about being the law firm for the state agencies. I don't think that's right. This is the Oregon Department of Justice, and I take that word justice very seriously. To me, it means you wake up every day and go to work to fight for working families, for seniors, for vulnerable Oregonians. If I'm the Attorney General, that's what I'm going to do.
Polls are all over the place. What are you seeing today?
I think it's going to be close to the end. We're running through the tape, not taking anything for granted. We're going to win this thing.
And what have you learned in the process?
I have learned so much about this state and about the challenges people are facing trying to meet their mortgages, but also about the incredible opportunities people see to move Oregon forward. I'm ready to help lead them and help do it as Attorney General.
Dwight Holton, we'll see if he is the next state's AG when the ballots are counted tonight and tomorrow. Dwight, thank you very much for being with us again on the Morning Update.
Thanks, Scott. Thanks, Paul. It's always great to be here.
Morning Update for a Tuesday, May 15th. Paul Linden and Scott Lynn. Election Day, the Oregon primary today. Get those ballots to the boxes. It's too late to mail them now. And controversy in the Attorney General's race. You heard one of the candidates, Dwight Holton, in the last half hour here in the Morning Update, charged that his opponent, Ellen Rosenblum, is taking up to $200,000 from marijuana support groups in other parts of the country as campaign contributions. Joining us this morning, Sonara Lilly, who is a spokesperson for the Rosenblum campaign. Ellen, not available to us this hour. What's the response, Sonara? What are you telling people?
Well, good morning. First of all, Ellen does say hello to everyone, but she is with her family meeting voters this morning. But yeah, Ellen started this campaign making a promise to be the people's attorney general, and one of the things that sort of went along with that was standing up for the laws of Oregon, and one of those is Oregon's pioneering medical marijuana law, which was passed by the voters overwhelmingly in 1998. By contrast, Mr. Holton has repeatedly called the law a train wreck, and as interim U.S. attorney, was behind some of the raids in Jackson County and sent threatening letters to legal growers. And so advocates and patients started, I think, getting really nervous about this and scared that if Mr. Holton won, that they would no longer have sort of the safe and legal access that they depend on. And that's something that Ellen's always promised that she would stand up for, to make sure there is this safe and legal access for our sort of most vulnerable patients. And it's got some national attention as Mr. Holton, saw thousands and thousands of dollars, not the few thousands that he's referred to earlier, but really over $200,000 pouring in from D.C. to support his campaign. I think the national medical marijuana advocates stood up and said, someone's got to stand up for Oregonians, someone's got to stand up for this law that passed in 1998, and make sure that the right thing is done.
It's a bit confusing because at the same time, Ellen has said she'll make marijuana enforcement a low priority if elected. Isn't that true?
Right, and I think, it's actually very irresponsible for anyone who's going to be in a job that has to do with sort of law enforcement, or some people call the AG's office the top cop job, not to sort of say what your priorities are. And for Ellen, her priorities have always been, going after dangerous criminals, focusing on really scary drugs like meth and heroin. And in these sort of tough economic times, it would be incredibly irresponsible for her to say, no, I'm going to prioritize marijuana offenses when we have some really, really serious and dangerous things sort of happening out there. So what Ellen said is lay out some priorities and say what she's going to do. But this isn't a promise. And Dwight's sort of insinuating that it is nothing more than political game playing at the last minute.
Senator, he says that campaign contributions totaling $200,000 have come from these marijuana support groups, and that election law reporting laws won't allow voters to know that until after Election Day. What is the number? How much money has she received from these support groups?
He is completely fabricating his sort of story that anything has been done illegally. We have received $140,000, $70 from the Drug Policy Alliance, which is the group that was here in 1998 helping pass that law, another $70 from an individual who was also here in 1998 working with the Drug Policy Alliance, and I've actually just been told that we got another $10,000 that we are filing today. But other than that's what we've seen on a national level, and we've been totally upfront and honest about it. In fact, I think we put out a press release about it.
The campaign has focused on Dwight Holton's campaign contributions coming from out of state. Some polls indicate that has been effective. What do you think?
Well, I think that when, you start looking at these issues that matter most to Oregonians, and then you see a lot of money flowing in from D.C., and you look at Dwight's record sort of going after laws like the medical marijuana law when he was interim U.S. attorney, you start saying that people say, well, wait, why is this D.C. money pouring into our state, and what does this really mean for Oregonians? And I think that people have questioned what his motives are because of that. And I think sort of the mudslinging and the attacks that he's made on Ellen in the last 48 hours really kind of illustrate that D.C. mentality that just doesn't resonate in Oregon.
Sonara Lilly, she's a spokesperson for Ellen Rosenblum's campaign. Sonara, thanks for responding to us this morning, talking to us. We appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks very much.
KUX News Time 814.